Speaking of quarterbacks, on to our next topic, and this is maybe a topic for people who are watching or listening where they won't have much knowledge just yet, but it is starting to happen. I mean, we've been doing a lot of college stuff this year anyway. It is now the college playoffs, but we're going to be talking about what is he's won the Heisman Trophy, which is basically the best player within college football, and that is the quarterback Fernando Mendoza. He is the quarterback for the Indiana Hoosiers, who have just won the Big Ten championship, 13-10, beating Ohio State. They are now the number one ranked team in the country going into playoffs. They will have that first round bye, and they went 13-0 overall, and then 9-0 in the Big Ten Conference. That's just playing the Big Ten teams. But we're going to focus on Fernando Mendoza, and we're not going to do so much of a QB breakdown, so to speak, because this isn't the college show. Us three don't watch college all that much. But what we do know about is teams that need a quarterback, and we've sort of just talked about it a little bit already. So it sort of morphs into this as well. This might be more of a section of why you should pick Fernando Mendoza than go and trade for Joe Burrow, because a lot of the same teams are going to be coming up. But a little bit of a background on Fernando Mendoza. I believe he's 6'5". A big set quarterback. He's 22, and most people believe that he's going to be the number one quarterback to go in the draft. In Adam's opinion, he's going to be the number one player to go in the draft, let alone the number one quarterback. But we'll sort of explore into that as well. I mean, the pros I sort of saw when I've watched a bit of video on draft reviews and stuff like that is, great arm strength and talent, can, hit the tight windows, does make the NFL caliber style throws, very good pocket presence, is a bit more of a pocket guy, but has elements of, what's the word for it? Athleticism, but not necessarily the athleticism of someone like Lamar. He's not a running quarterback. His cons are, he isn't a runner. He is mobile, but he's not necessarily a runner when this style of NFL at the minute does sort of cater to that. And he can be known to force throws, does need to improve his field vision a little bit. Someone said that there was one video I watched, the subjective comparison was an athletic Matt Ryan, which is interesting. Is an interesting comp, I think.
That's not where I went, but okay.
No, that's not where you went. Where did you go with it?
Well, I had a budget Justin Herbert.
Okay, interesting. I mean, that falls within the same.
With an insult.
But I feel he's slightly more Jared Goff like.
Okay. But would you? But I mean, I'm not going to.
But Jared Goff now, rather than Jared Goff. Did you know what I mean? When he was with the Rams before they were decent, he struggled. He kind of feels like he's got that, like you say, that pocket presence, that height, that strength.
Yeah.
Kind of the body type of Herbert, but the sort of more the arm of.
Can I also say that his Heisman speech was like really humble? A lot of humility.
I love that. Do you know anything about this guy other than his Heisman speech? That's brilliant.
Indiana undefeated for the first time since 1995.
Oh. Yeah, well done.
There he is.
The real Joel. He's like the London version of Joel Klatt.
No, I just mean as in like it was refreshing to obviously like even if you don't watch college, you get to a point in the season where everybody's heard about the players who are coming up in the draft, right? When we get to December. I just weird like after watching highlights but then not hearing someone speak and then to see I was like, oh, he actually seems like he would be a good fit for a franchise. Not like some quarterbacks, but I won't say any names because we won't give them airtime coming out of recent drafts, making it all about them. But I think that I'm happy for him as well because I know Freddie said about the teams, but as in terms of like, I know the Raiders and Jets historically are not great, but they are two franchises where a young quarterback would probably want to go. There are weapons there. Genty, Bowers on the Raiders. The Jets have got pieces, draft picks. It's not like if you ended like he's quite lucky that Giants, Titans, and in theory the Browns have quarterbacks of the future.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When we're looking at the draft coming up, I mean, the teams that I roll right off my tongue really that are going to be looking for that quarterback is Jets, Saints. I think Browns, in my opinion. We'll see what the next few weeks sort of come out with. The Rams, just because I do think you do need to start preparing for Matthew Stafford's ultimate decision, maybe to retire or maybe it's sort of a downturn spiral. The Raiders and the Cardinals, really, at this point. They're, I think, the teams that maybe would look to go this year. Obviously, you could always do next year, but Mendoza is coming out, and it seems like an exciting prospect. Adam, at the minute, draft-wise, without the games happening tonight, the Steelers-Miami game, which wouldn't may minorly influence its draft order, but top 10 is Giants, Vegas, Tennessee, Browns, Jets, Arizona, Saints at 7, Washington 8, Cincinnati, and then the Rams at 10. So all them teams I've just said, conveniently for the most part, are in that top 10 sphere. How interesting does it make it at the minute if the Giants do keep the number 1 pick?
Really interesting if they do, because it'll be traded. That they won't stay at 1. They've got no reason to, because they've got Dart. So it's like, I think that this is what we need to happen, because otherwise I think it's going to become an incredibly boring draft for quarterbacks. Because the Raiders are number 2, if they end up with the number 1 pick, then which, by the way, Giants playing the Raiders in week 17, that's going to be a barn burner. Let's see who can lose the best. So that would be a good one. If the Raiders get it, then they're going to take Mendoza, and no one's moving anywhere. So it's not going to be great fun. But yeah, if the Giants keep that number 1 pick, as you say, the Raiders are definitely a team that will be interested. The Jets, the Cardinals. I don't know. You could say, to me, the Browns and the Saints are the same. It really depends what they want to do, whether they want to stick with their guy or whether they want to move on. I don't think either of them have shown that they are fantastic, but I think they have shown improvement since the time that they've started. And so therefore you might want to give them another year. I don't know. And then obviously the Rams are disgustingly with the 10th pick because of the Falcons. They have a really good chance, and they've got history of this because they did it for Goff and they traded up for him, and they have gone all in, and they've got the picks to do it. They could get up now, so they might well go for it if they decide they really love Mendoza.
And in a realistic purview for the Rams, they're not, unless trades happen again, they're not going to be picking in the top 20.
No, this is like their chance, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So it is their chance to really go for it. I think it's the case of they're going to have to go for it and go for the number 1 pick. I don't think there's anyone else. The only way that they can somehow, if they can somehow get another pick, but I don't know, it's difficult and try and transfer it to 27 because that's going to be a much better quarterback class. But I don't know how they're going to do that because the class in this year just isn't good enough. And I can't imagine many other teams are going to do what the Falcons did, which was so ridiculous. But yeah, so they're another team. So there's a fair few teams here that have got interest in taking Mendoza. Hopefully the Giants are the number 1 pick by the end of the season.
Do you think, Scott, there's any shock teams that we've not said about that might be going, we're looking to the future here, or maybe, the Vikings, for example, a team that could go, it's just not going to work with JJ McCarthy. We just haven't seen it. Miami.
Do you like JJ McCarthy?
Do I?
Yeah, I feel like the Vikings getting the quarterback always comes up for it. Adam doesn't like him. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I've not watched loads of him, but I think he's incredibly limited. He's very limited.
He was good last night. I know it's the Cowboy defense. I'm sorry, just to mean is that I think the Vikings are invested in him. The Cardinals one that you throw up though is one that not a lot of people I think would mention. I think that especially when you've got Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., again, playmakers, if you get a Mendoza where you can actually make the most of him. I think that's a fair one. But yeah,
Murray won't be there next year.
The Dolphins,
so,
I don't know.
No.
That was one I was thinking. It was Dolphins at 13.
Yeah.
Really? It's too far.
Chiefs.
You put Tua in the mix, though.
What, to the Giants?
No. I'm not saying. I'm not. Well, there could still be movement. It might not be the Giants or Vegas. It might be Tennessee. You never know. Like, you never know.
Oh no, it's going to be the Giants are doing their best, and I'll tell you what, the Raiders are not far behind them either.
I know Adam said about the excitement, like in terms of the Giants keeping it. I mean, it's surely written that if the Giants get it, our mates in New York, little switcheroo with the Jets, like we'll just be talking about it for 2 months waiting for it.
Do you think there's, from when you look around it, like the last time I remember this sort of happening was Bryce Young was Carolina trading with, who did they trade with at that time? Gosh, who was
the Bears?
The Bears, yes. They went and traded up to go for the number 1 pick, and they took Bryce Young. And from anyone who's watched or listened to this, I'm a big Bryce Young fan. I know he's not the best in the world, but I do really like him. Do you think that maybe does put people off a little bit, though? Even though I know it's a new player, different player, and everything like that, but it is a commitment going to do that.
I mean, look, it's a lot, isn't it? If you're going to come for, I think they were 9th, weren't they, in the draft that year, and they came up. I mean, it's a lot. You're going to have to give up a lot in order to do it. This is why the likes of Minnesota and Miami, they're too far. It's unlikely. The Rams have got sort of like capital that they can sort of, to a certain degree, throw away. So it's like it kind of would work with them being at 10. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, that's a lot you're going to have to give up. And if you're not 100% certain on the kid, it's really, really difficult. I think it's difficult. They might, like I say, there's a lot of teams potentially. You've got the Jets at 5, the Cardinals at 6. You could go for that and get a bigger haul. I actually think what would make so much more sense to me for the Giants is you drop down to 2. And you drop down and you get something from the Raiders, and then you drop again. Because in reality, that Giants team, if everyone's fit, it's not a bad team. They shouldn't be where they are.
They've got potential to be the next season, if all goes well with the draft, be what the Patriots have been this year. I think a very quick turnaround.
I don't think they need a lot. I think if you just sort of if you quickly think about it, the defense, especially the front 7, are very good. I think the corners are a bit of an issue, but I think the front 7 are very good. You've got a great wide receiver in Malik Neighbors, great running back in Cam Scatterbo. Jackson Dart has shown that he's got potential. Really like Theo Johnson as their tight end. The O-line, I know Andrew's a massive fan of the O-line. I still have some reservations on some of them, but I think they're not too bad. But the idea that they could drop down a couple of times here and almost because someone will come up for the top edge rusher or something like that at 2. So the idea that you could do that and really sort of accumulate picks for not only now, but potentially next year as well. And next year, 27 looks very exciting. If you could do that, that'd be great.
One variable, which is a bit of a college variable, and I'm not trying to out as everything, but I know that I feel like a lot of this also depends on the quarterback at Oregon a little bit.
Yeah, if Dante Moore comes out.
If Dante Moore comes out, I think this changes the complexity of this draft completely, because then suddenly Mendoza isn't still desirable, but it suddenly changes it. I think it actually, a lot of this does vary on who does declare in the draft. I know the 27 class is going to be better for quarterbacks in general, if everything stays in the exact same lane that it's going in. But if there's someone at least competing with Mendoza Sky, because what we don't want really is like a Kyler Murray thing, where it was like, well, Kyler's going, and then we're like everyone, like even last year. I mean, it was like Cam. I suppose it was a Cam Shador thing, though, wasn't it, in a way?
Yeah, but deep down, everybody knew it was Cam Ward. This would actually be quite healthy in the sense of, and it would make it interesting in the sense of like, let's just assume someone like Pete Carroll keeps his job, and then the Jets want Mendoza. Like Dante Moore going to the Raiders with like what he did with Wilson when he was younger and building blocks. Like it would be interesting. Obviously, there's been a lot of buzz, I think, in the last week about how he might declare, but then, I mean, objectively, because it's one of the few college teams I've watched, I think he probably would benefit from another year. But then you don't know who's in his ear when you talk about how many quarterbacks coming out next year. Because then if you wait, then your stock might not be high. Yeah. So that would be great. And yeah, it would just throw a few more variables in, because obviously people evaluate quarterbacks different. I mean, and again, Moore is different to what Mendoza would offer. So then we would get a bit of excitement. But I don't know. Yeah, hopefully let's have 2, because then otherwise it was just going to be a bit boring. But like Adam said, the Giants are in a good position. They have historically, though, managed to somehow win a lot of. I actually like this Commanders game that happened. I was shocked they lost, because in the last few seasons, they are a team who seems to play their way out of a good draft position.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a historical, biting their own kneecap sort of aspect, don't they, where they sort of screw themselves over, unfortunately. But yeah, it's congratulations to Mendoza as well for winning the Heisman. I mean, it's a fantastic accolade, and it's going to be really exciting to see what happens to him come around the draft time.